Hey guys, it's Whitney from Thanks for the Food here, and today's tutorial is on how to roll Vietnamese spring rolls. Now I know lots of you have probably had these before at either a friend's place or in a restaurant, and they probably look really complicated and intimidated, but they're really simple and they're great if you're a vegetarian, if you're vegan, also if you're someone who's a celiac sufferer, which means that you maintain a gluten-free diet. These are like the perfect thing to have, and they're a great thing to bring because they're easy to make and they're really impressive. My goal this month is to basically use what's in my fridge and cook what's in my fridge first before I go on and buy anything else. So because of that, I'm just using napa cabbage as a filling today, which is this. It's just been like really finely chopped with a knife. And then also, these are called English cucumbers in the US, but they're also just called cucumbers in Norway and in other parts of Europe. And I just cut these into thin strips. The other thing that I've done is, I have a grater attachment for my KitchenAid, so I basically have just done, of course, some grated carrots, and that's what I had in my fridge. So that's what we're going to fill into our spring rolls today. Like I said, these are great because you can basically put whatever in that you want. It's also traditional to put in minced pork, and also shrimp is really popular. So if you have those, use those. You can also experiment with things like bean sprouts and avocados, and you can also put cilantro leaves, Thai basil leaves. You can put tons of different things in here. So just adapt them to your taste. But like I said, we're using what I have on hand and what I had in my house, which is shredded carrots, cucumbers, and cabbage. Okay, so first things first, these are basically the rice papers that I bought. And I bought these just from a Asian grocery store here in my city. So these are what I use. You can also buy these circular, but I just happen to buy these in square form just because I want to be different, because I usually buy these circle. But anyways, they're basically just like these squares, and they're just made out of basically rice flour and tapioca. And once you put these in water, they go from being these hard, almost like sheets of, I don't know, cardstock or something. They basically go from that to being this really malleable wrapper thing that you can work with. So the first thing that you want to do is just take your rice paper and you just put it into warm water. And you just want to submerge the whole thing into warm water. I'm using basically a serving platter because it's the thing that I had that basically fit the entire rice paper in on one go. And you just leave it in there until it basically gets softer. Now what most people usually do is they put boiling water, and you can definitely do that, and you should start off with boiling water, but of course water cools pretty fast when it's in such a wide platter. So, you just want to I can't tell you to leave it in for 10 seconds. You just basically want to leave it in until it's soft. The warmer the water, the least amount of time it takes to get soft. Now you can see it basically went from being that hard piece of paper to being this malleable wrapper now. So the most important thing is to not let this thing get dry, because once it gets dry, it's it's really not fun to try to work with these things when they're getting dry. But you also kind of don't want them to be too damp either. So this is basically perfect. It's still pretty wet over here, but it's not super wet everywhere. On the parts where it's more opaque than it is translucent, here, this is where it's kind of starting to get dry. So if it starts to get a little bit dry, just dab a little bit of water on. Okay, the first thing that you want to do is basically take your cabbage. And I always make these in what I call a diamond form, which means that one of the corners should basically be facing your belly button, and then one of the corners should be facing out. So since I'm standing on this side, this is basically facing, this is basically facing my belly button, and this is facing outward. Some people do it where it's more square, where just this end is facing towards their stomach, and I don't do that because I think this is easier. Okay. I don't have any real original reasons why I do that, but it's just easier for me. Okay, and then you just basically want to put in what you want. You don't want to put in too much because then it becomes hard to roll, which is why some of these cucumbers have carrots on them already, because I had to pull them out of another one that I made. So first things first, you take the corner that's closest to your belly button, and you want to basically take that up And as you take it up, you take these fingers here on the end, and you basically just like tuck the vegetables in. So you're basically pushing the vegetables towards the fold. And then you want to take this top part and just kind of lay it down. And since it's starting to get dry, it kind of sticks. Kind of. Not really, but kind of. And then the next thing you want to do is take the outside corners, and this is really important because how the outside corners lay kind of determines if the stuff starts falling out, which of course you don't want to happen. You just take the outside corners and you just fold them over to the middle. Now you've basically got that last corner just out, and what you want to do is just take your outside 3 fingers and you basically just want to put your thumb down, put your index finger up, and then you take your other fingers to basically just push the filling in as you roll it. Now you kind of got this, which means that stuff is going to start falling out, this little wingtip thing here. And what I do is I just tuck it on in. So tuck it in and just start rolling. And then once you roll it, I usually roll over it just a couple of times just to make sure that it's in tight. And then you just stick it here. Now the thing with rice paper, again, is since it's basically made from tapioca and rice flour, and it gets very soft when you put it in water, is you don't want to let these get to be too dry. So what I usually do is just take a piece of a cheesecloth towel, which are commonly found at Kid and a lot of other stores here in Norway, but you just take a piece of cheesecloth, you just kind of dampen it with a little bit of water, and then place that over the top of the spring rolls as you work. I obviously didn't do that now because I'm just kind of showing you real quickly how to roll these, but when you're making these for your next party or gathering, you want to be sure to just put a piece of, like, you know, damp cheesecloth over the top so that they don't get dried out while you're going along, because the worst thing is when they get dried out. Yeah, so then we just put our filling in. And again, like I said, you can put like scrambled eggs in here, you can put shrimp in here, you can also put, you know, different herbs, like cilantro in these is heaven. I don't have any right now, so I didn't put any in. But if you have some, put it in. And the best thing is that if you want to kind of make these look really nice, I'll just show you before I roll it. Before you put the cabbage down, you want to put like the leaves down, or I would put the shrimp down first, then put the cilantro leaves on top, and then put the cabbage and the other vegetables that you're going to use, because then when you roll it, then the shrimp shows on the outside. So again, we just take the corner that's closest to our belly button, and we just kind of push the filling towards us, and then you take one of the corners, and you wrap it over. And you want to be a little bit careful because you don't want this to tear, but you also, you know, want to kind of pull it a little bit tight so then it kind of stays rolled up. So now that we've got the 2 corners from the side folded over, now we just basically take our hands and just kind of push the filling towards us a bit. And you want to make sure, again, that you just kind of wrap those corners down so that the filling doesn't fall out. And then, yeah. And then I just kind of take on top of the plastic cutting board, I just kind of roll it a few times. So then the filling just is as tight as can be. And you can see our finished result here. I've made a couple here. So this was basically the first one that I made. And as you can see, it's a little bit loose. And then the other ones are smaller because they're tighter, basically. But don't overpack with the filling. And again, you can just use what you have on hand. I tend to just kind of make these on the fly if I want something. If I'm having like a friend pop by for a quick lunch and I don't want to have to cook anything, I just make these Vietnamese spring rolls, and everyone always loves them. I'll give out my recipe as well for the dipping sauce that I use. You can either use fish sauce, or you can make another dipping sauce that doesn't have fish sauce in it if you're vegan or you're vegetarian, or if you just don't like the taste or the flavor of fish sauce. But this is my way that I roll Vietnamese inspired or Vietnamese style spring rolls. If you have any questions or comments, or you want to share with us what your favorite fillings are, be sure to leave that in the comments below. This is Whitney from Thanks for the Food. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.